U.S. expels SA Ambassador Ebrahim Rasool from Washington. The South African presidency says it notes the regrettable expulsion of South Africa's ambassador to the U.S. In a post on X, the United States Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, said that the South African ambassador was no longer welcome in the U.S. Rubio posted on X on Friday night, "South Africa's ambassador to the United States is no longer welcome in our great country. Ebrahim Rasool is a race-baiting politician who hates America and hates the President of the United States. We have nothing to discuss with him, and so he is considered persona non grata," he wrote.
I think what Donald Trump is launching is an assault on incumbency, those who are in power, by mobilizing a supremacism against the incumbency at home, and I think I've illustrated abroad as well. So in terms of that, the supremacist assault on incumbency, we see it in the domestic politics of the USA, the MAGA movement, the Make America Great Again movement, as a response, not simply to a supremacist instinct, but to very clear data that shows great demographic shifts in the USA, in which the voting electorate in the USA is projected to become 48% white, and that the possibility of a majority of minorities is looming on the horizon. And so that needs to be factored in so that we understand some of the things that we think are instinctive, nativist, racist things. I think that there's data that, for example, would support that would go to this wall being built, the deportation movement, etc., etc. So I think I mentioned that. I think that there is also an export of the revolution. It's no accident that that Elon Musk has involved himself in UK politics and elevated a Nigel Farage and the reform movement in much the same way that it was instructive that on his way to the Munich Security Summit, Vice President Vance addressed the Alternative für Deutschland to strengthen them in their election campaign. And that then begins to say, what was the role then of Afrikaners in that whole makeup? And very clearly, it's to project white victimhood as a dog whistle, that there is a global protective movement that is beginning to envelop embattled white communities, or apparently embattled white communities. It may not be true, it may not make sense, but that is not the dog whistle that is being heard in a global white base. So I think we need to understand all of that. Another discontinuity, it's almost that they are putting a supremacist insurgency against the incumbency, and therefore we need to rethink our old categories of rationalization, because in that category, there are mainstream Republicans like Mitt Romney and so forth that are seen as part of the incumbency that are also embattled. And so it's an intra-party insurgency as well as a global insurgency and a national one in the USA. So I think we've got to get out of categories of thinking that are falling by the wayside, and it's forcing critical transitions in the world. This idea of undermining incumbency, it's firing and forcing transitions from a system where the incumbents violated rules and disregarded rules to one where there are minimal to no rules and conventions that are at play at home or abroad. It's a transition from soft impunity to hard impunity, in-your-face impunity. It's a transition from rules-based duress to punitive coercion, naked punitive coercion as the currency of exchange. And It's a way to deal with emerging multilateralism and shifting, for example, from a focus on BRICS, where Trump and Biden administration was very obsessed with BRICS as the locus of the multilateral movement emerging, to Trump being an equal opportunity engager, using power over the whole world, using economic power particularly. So I think that's what we are able to discern from this side. So the third issue that I then want to raise is, what is this power? What is this power that is being exercised? And I think the power exercised is of the shock and awe variety. It is one of the South Africans that are here in that kind of inner circles of MAGA, wrote the book, The Agenda, in which Joel Pollak, for example, speaks about the 200, I think, executive orders that must be prosecuted within the first 100 days. Abba, are you telling me I just have 2 minutes left? Okay, so let me